That's a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. It's really such a pleasure to be here on this picture-perfect day. Quite an amazing time, a beautiful spot, and an amazing class. I did some homework in order to prepare for this, and found that this excellent institution of learning has not only drilled the normal fundamentals into this senior class, but has honed your analytical skills and powers of observation, encouraged you to examine your values and think about your role in the community. This is more than just minimal training to become a literate human being. It is preparation for leadership. What I would like to do is to give you some examples of differing types of leadership to give that concept concrete meaning so that you can make it a reality in your future. The first is a story of a young girl who used her training to expand the life of a small village a continent away and highlight its culture. Paula Taylor, an American artist and graphic designer who had been working with children in remote and destitute areas of Zimbabwe and South Africa for 2 months each year, was given the opportunity to explore areas among the Luo and Maasai tribes in Kenya. Her initial objective was to repair leaking roofs and dilapidated classrooms and teachers' houses of a rural school in Zimbabwe. However, when the headmaster, who was a visionary, saw her helping the children draw simple graphics on her laptop computer during her leisure time, he asked her to show his teachers how to teach art. He explained to her that teachers did not want to come to this school because the village was so poor. He was sure, however, that art could change that. Luckily, she had brought along a small case of art supplies, and she also knew how to create art out of found objects, so she agreed to start with those teachers. And that afternoon, she showed them how to make clay out of dirt, flour, salt, and water. And she taught the teachers the basic clay techniques. The next day, they gathered twigs and grass, and she taught them how to create small frames to be used for self-portraits that they had drawn. Inspired, they cleared out an old storage room to use for art, and the program began. It went so well that when she returned home, she gave talks about her experience and persuaded school and local businesses to send some 250 pounds of art supplies to Zimbabwe. Through this experience, the students and local townspeople learned about another culture an ocean away, and they realized how valuable their help was in enriching lives. Since our first visit 3 years ago, she wrote, Ch13 Primary School has progressed and is now known for its art program. The school is so popular that it cannot provide enough jobs for all the teachers who request positions. The whole community has a new sense of pride in their school and village. Village craftsmen give classes regularly at school and help students to sell their crafts. And with some of the earned money, a new well was dug on the school grounds and provides good water for the entire village. The village is achieving its vision to make the world a better place for their children. Paula Taylor is a perfect example of the truth of Edmund Burke's statement, "No one could make a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could do only a little." My next example is quite different in both size and scope. The University of Georgia had long been proud of its status as the first chartered state-supported university in the country, 1785. But about 30 years ago, it came to the realization that the scholarship of its student body gave them no cause for congratulations. An examination of the issue made them realize that too many of the good students residing in Georgia were choosing institutions in neighboring states. And a closer look through a survey showed that the main issue was money, that scholarship money was a prime consideration in their choice. UGA's administration therefore created a comprehensive scholarship program called HOPE, an acronym for Helping Outstanding Pupils Educationally. To qualify for this full scholarship, a student must graduate from high school with a minimum of a 3.0 grade average and a diploma in college preparatory track, and the student body began to change. An article in the Chronicle of Higher Education stated, "Few state institutions have become so much more competitive so quickly. The number of freshmen who graduated from high school with at least a 3.9 average has jumped from 331 in 1992 to 853 in 1997. In-state freshmen who receive a Hope Scholarship now make up 85 to 90% of each year's entering class." Now, the University of Georgia could have hastily hired a Nobel Prize-winning professor or built a state-of-the-art science lab, but instead it did its homework. It listened to the students who were choosing those other universities so that it could address the real problem. Leadership always involves careful listening before leaping into action. Another illustrative example of successful collaboration is much more personal. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer called Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia, and if you remember that, you're a genius. I was told it was incurable and fatal, but that I probably had at least 5 decent years of life left. Now that energized me into consulting first a world-class nutritionist and searching for the best doctor in the country. Dr. Steve Ch13 worked as a hematological oncologist at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. And during our first meeting, he spoke of his frustration over the fact that there were so few of us with this disease that research was difficult. I know, it's a little hard to deal with, isn't it? We talked about the Fulbright program and the possibility of looking beyond U.S. borders for colleagues. Within a year, he had organized an international conference with specialists from 9 overseas institutions and began discussing collaborative research projects and information sharing. The conference established a consortium that now includes 25 institutions located on all 5 major continents, and he expects the number to double by the end of this year. The results have been nothing short of miraculous. The different regional perspectives and training of the participating physicians have enriched the project as a whole and each member in it. Cells that were completely ignored before are now understood to be central to the formation and progress of the disease. As you can see, I am far from dead 6 years later. In fact, my blood is healthy and normal. Steve Ch13 understood the power of collaboration. He knew that if he shared the results of his research freely, he could attract like-minded physicians around the world. The resulting knowledge about WM is expanding rapidly, and who knows, there might even be a cure soon. I don't care. I feel great. Senator Fulbright's International Education Exchange program is my last example. How on earth did he come up with the idea that an international academic program would accomplish his goal, which was to help prevent World War III. First, he spent months conferring with colleagues and friends, anybody who would talk with him, about how to prevent another worldwide conflict. Through these conversations, he became convinced that if potential future leaders could live and work in another culture for long enough to confront, absorb, and understand different ways of thinking, they would be far more willing to solve conflicts through an exchange of ideas rather than bullets. Senator Fulbright developed a vision out of his own experience and the advice of a wide variety of friends and colleagues, and he translated it into a program that has exerted profound changes in attitudes and our manner of dealing with one another. Now, 60 years later, it has educated over 250,000 scholars and is one of the world's most powerful forces for promoting mutual understanding and collaborative activity. As you can see, leadership is about listening and interacting with those around you. It is about knowing how to use your skills and equipment to benefit others. It is about conducting an examination of a problem careful enough to understand the central core of that problem and knowing how to arrive at a truly effective solution. It is a willingness to reach out and collaborate freely with others on an issue of common interest, no matter how daunting. It always takes hard work and perseverance. With these attributes, a leader can engage the hearts and loyalty of a friend, a community, a nation, or any group so that all its members can together engage in meaningful work to satisfying improvements and accomplishments. Like Paula Taylor, the University of Georgia, Steve Treon, and Senator Fulbright, we can all give real meaning to the words of Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that has. And I don't doubt that this small band performing collectively will make changes we